Hi guys, welcome to the live stream. We have Luke with us. We have Yadorenko with us. We have a new guest with us. Gary, how are you, man?
Hi, you're right. All good, thank you.
Yeah, we're good. I think we are good. I'm good. So this is the first time on the channel, but we know you for a long time already. We're very happy to have you actually on the channel. And I'm going to just right away ask you the question that we always ask to everyone that's been on the channel first time. I think Luke can already nod his head because he had to go through the same question. Sorry. How did you become an Ajax fan? Because honestly, let me be very honest now. These viewers are now thinking like, you guys are getting like people from the UK are Ajax fans and wearing Ajax shirts. I don't buy it, man. I don't buy it. So what's your story? Make us believe.
For me, to be honest with you, the actual beginning was always the Netherlands as a country. The obsession started with the 88 Euros with Van Basten and that team. And then mainly with Overmars and Bergkamp coming to this country. And then in 98, when I was 18, I went to Amsterdam for the Queen's weekend. And that's when the obsession with the town and then going to watch Ajax play. That's where it really started. So it's been a long time. And I go a lot, 2 or 3 times a year to watch them play. And it's just an obsession that I think the club just gets under your skin, right? And but yeah, to tell you, it's mainly from the country to start with, the Netherlands, and then coming over and then sort of understanding your way, the way you enjoy your football, and the obsession that you guys have with that club. It just got into my blood, and that's where it all started, really.
When would you say the love for Ajax really grew on you?
I'd say around late 90s, so 98 to 99. That's when I was going back every year, and tickets were easy in them days as well. It's not as difficult as it is now, and to get a season ticket, it's very tough. But yeah, mainly late 90s. Everyone thinks it's a 95 of the Champions League, but for me, it wasn't. It was mainly when Bergkamp and Overmars came to Arsenal, and when I was old enough to go to the town myself. So it's grown really from there, and then trying to go at least 2 or 3 times a year to watch a game.
Yeah. So you've seen quite a bit of Ajax already.
Yeah, lots of
good.
Yeah.
Good, very good.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Luke, how are you, man?
All well? Yeah. All good.
You're back. How are you? You're back. No regrets. No,
I didn't get scared off. Yeah, I didn't get scared off.
All right, good. So listen, guys. There's not much going on, to be honest, in terms of transfers. We're still waiting for the Timber deal to be finalized officially. We're hearing bits and pieces here and there, but it's mostly rumors. So we're going to keep it a bit more general today. We're going to talk about the transfer window. And also I want the viewers also to throw in their questions or their comments so we can have a general discussion with everyone. But I was thinking, right, and I want to give you this question to all of you. I will start with Yadorenko, because Yadorenko is very critical. Everybody knows this. And I would like to know from Yadorenko, what would make you happy this transfer window, Yadorenko? What would be a good transfer window for you from where we are right now?
But you better can start with the other two, because my answer is like this.
Long? No, yeah. Let's start with you. It's okay.
It's very long.
It's okay. Go ahead.
I will elaborate later. I guess I'm satisfied when I get the feeling that we make steps towards a better future, basically. And I can elaborate that very long, which I'll do later. But for now, that's it. I only want to get some sense of direction, basically.
Okay. You do have to elaborate, though. But okay.
That's fine. But let them go first.
I will do that. Luke, how about you? What would be a good transfer window for you?
Do you know what? I have to agree. Really, really generalize it that steps for the future. You know, for the past few years, you've seen, Frankie leave the team, for example, and then Taylor came in straight away and was making steps to becoming a better player, because the reality is that Ajax players come through, players develop, and that's when you know that the machine is running, and the clock's ticking and things like that. When players come in, they make it better, and then they move on, and then you get another one in, like Hato right now. But obviously, we've not seen that really the past 2 seasons, really. So when young players are coming in and trying to control it, or maybe the past year, do you know what I mean? Then you know, it's a good transfer window, but also I can elevate you now in a sense.
Yeah. So okay. So both of you are saying, I will ask the question in a bit. I will go with Gary first, and then I will go a little bit more deeper in what you guys are saying, because it raises a lot of questions for me, probably also for the viewers. Gary, what about you? Do you agree with them, or for you there has to be more than that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the fence because we've been obliterated in the last couple of years with the sales, and with Ten Hag going to Man U and all the Overmars and Van der Sar. We haven't recovered well. We haven't recruited well in terms of the players last summer that I feel we haven't anyway. They haven't settled down. And for me, we are where we are, and it happens to us. But this last couple of years feels like a lot more. We had a lot of decent players go. Normally it's a couple. This time we've had the whole squad pretty much taken away from us in the last 2 seasons. And with the manager last year and now a new guy, I just don't know where we're going as a club. That's where I'm at the moment. So I think we've got some good players, but the direction, the philosophy that we all buy into at the moment feels clouded for me.
Is that Yadorenko, is that also what you meant by direction, in the sense that it's not even about the players that we get in, but more also about how do we want to play? What do we want to accomplish in terms of our playing style, et cetera, et cetera? Because it's easy to say, yeah, this player is good, but maybe he won't function or he won't be suitable for our play style. Is that what you're referring to, or something else?
No, exactly. For me, and this is misconstrued quite often. It's about making solid, good choices. And with a good choice, I don't mean getting a player that performs in the first team, because you never know. It's always a part of a gamble. But what you do want to see is some kind of logic why they got that player. Because you need strength in the team, or you need experience, or you need creativity. If that is the case, then it mostly is a good choice. And then you have to see how it works out and try to manage it. But as long as they're making good choices, you get a sense of direction, which has been cluttering for quite a while now. It's not only last year, the year before and the year before that, it already started cluttering, thankfully, to Overmars and Ten Hag, because they were opting in too much in buying players instead of using youth. One of the reasons why Jonk left. And if you actually look at Volendam right now, it's almost all Cruyffians, which is really strange as an Ajax supporter, and especially if we saw what happened with Ajax after the Cruyff revolution, because everybody said, we're back in Europe in 2019, but actually there was a long road up to that. Actually, Cruyff stated it will take 7 to 10 years to come back at Europe. And in 2017, they played a final against Manchester United in the Europa League. So they were getting there. They were getting in the direction where they started off in. And for me, that has been cluttering ever since the success, more and more. Not everything was cluttering, but there was no natural Ajax response. The normal Ajax response that I am used to is help. There's someone not performing, injured or whatever. Bring youth, try youth. That's almost all gone.
You mean recently?
Yeah, look at Hato. Hato only came in because Bessie and Wijndal weren't performing at all for longer periods of time. Only then Hato got a chance.
Yeah, I agree with you, Yadorenko, but at the same time, there is a flip side to the coin, right? Hato also progressed very much that same season. So if he doesn't progress that much, he doesn't get the chance. So it's both sides. It's not only that Wijndal and Bessie were not performing, but Hato grew pretty much, and that's why he got a chance and he took it. And at the start of the season, I agree with mostly what you're saying, but we have to be careful because a 16-year-old, you don't know at the start of the season if he's going to be a starter at the first team. You know, these are not normal circumstances, right?
No, but I'm not saying that you have to build your team around a 16-year-old. I'm saying when you have trouble in any department, try a youth player. That's why you have an academy, and that's why Ajax has been so successful in the past with really young teams.
Okay, so if I translate you correctly, right? Let's say, because we know now that last year, so it's a process. Last year we lost a lot of players, exactly what Gary was talking about.
Yeah.
We know this summer 3 important players will leave as well. So Timber is already done. Edson, matter of time. Kudus could happen still before the end. Does it mean that for you, it doesn't need to be like we have to sign somebody from abroad, but maybe look at what we have? And if you just promote 1 or 2 youth players for me, and who would that be? That's another discussion. But I'll be fine with it. At least we're giving also youth a bit of a chance on certain positions. Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't really matter what the transfers are to me. I think you need to begin again, start over. Just what Barcelona a few years ago had to do and didn't, because they kept investing and kept edging that financial line. And look where they are now. They have trouble to sign any player because they cannot guarantee that he even can play, that he's even accepted by the Spanish league.
Yeah, there's a financial thing to it. Yeah, I understand.
That's really stupid in my way of thinking. I think you need to come clear and make a choice. Just make a choice and accept the consequences of that choice, no matter what it is.
Okay.
To some degree, of course.
Yeah. Luke, I'm going to go to you, right? You were nodding a couple of times to what Jadrenko were saying. It's very early still to tell. We have a new director of football, of course. We have a new coach. And he has to clean up a lot. I mean, this has been one of the worst seasons we've witnessed. And he has to clean up a lot. But he had 2 signings so far. We don't know much about those 2 signings, let's be honest. But from those 2 signings, are you seeing a little bit of a direction? Are you seeing like what maybe Mislintat is trying to do already? Or is this too early to tell for you?
For me, I think it's just a little bit too early to tell. The 2 players that have come in, one's obviously a midfielder, creative midfielder, a little bit experienced in Van der Boomen, and then you have Tahirovic, who's a lot of us haven't really seen or loads of because he's still very young. But listen, I agree with Jadrenko. Barcelona absolutely ruined themselves when they stopped bringing youth players in, spent so much money on the likes of Griezmann and Coutinho. And the whole, what's the point of having one of the best academies in the world if you don't use the academies? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, one of the players that just gone on loan, Ünüvar, he moans about not getting a chance. And this is what Ajax normally do in their history, is bring these players through, give them opportunities at least, and if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. Like, for example, Hato coming in, absolutely agree with you, Juan. He progressed and he took his opportunity because he was rapidly progressing, but then the other players didn't, like Yuri Bas, who played a few games, played left back. Maybe that's not his best position, and it didn't help that Heitinga was playing Tadic as a striker for the first part until, that he was in charge, and Robbie then obviously played a little bit at the end. But this is the thing about, giving youth opportunities. I agree with Jadrenko, is that, Ajax give opportunities to players and they can't lose sight of the identity. For me, it's too early to tell. I think he can also, Sven can also look at the squad with the manager and think, okay, instead of buying here, let's bring a youth player in. Let's see how they do here in pre-season, maybe, and then see where the end of the window goes. But, I think it's too early to tell. Really.
What's your view on this discussion, Gary? Because I have also a question for you, but I will give you a moment to react as well.
Yeah, I'm with the boys. You know, it's a tough one because we've got it's all fresh, new manager, and we've got Sven there as well, who is getting criticised heavily for Arsenal. But it wasn't just him. You know, he was forced into a lot of those moves and is rushed. So I think we've got some good players. I think the confidence is. We haven't played well for a long time, and for me, it's confidence. And if this manager gets a couple of good wins early, we could start well, and we can get those 2 new players. They're quite young as well. You know, maybe we're trying to go down that road and get youth in the middle, because we know we're going to lose some experience. But for me, it's just about tapping into the academy. We got lucky with Hato doing so well so quickly, but we can't put all that responsibility on his shoulders so soon. And also the first teamers, the veterans as such, they haven't performed, and they've been quite embarrassing in some of their performances as well. Then we blame the manager, but the players have got to take some responsibility as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the question I had, right, because we're talking on one side, we're talking about what we want on the pitch. We want, like a direction. We want players. We want quality, etc. There's another element to this whole discussion that we didn't really bring up previously, but the Dutch media is bringing this up. I don't know how much of a truth this has, but maybe a little. So let me just bring it to the discussion as well, and I would like to hear what you have to say about it, which has to do with the financial situation as well. We're playing, hopefully, Europa League. We have players that have pretty decent salary, expensive players, if you would say so. And first, we have to sell now. We have come to a point that we have to sell players before we can sign players. And not only that, but according to the sources, same sources, they're also saying that our director of finance basically told Sven the money that comes in, we cannot reinvest it 100%. So only a piece of that we can invest. Does this also, if this is in fact true, right? Does this also mean for us that we have to, step back and look more for, how Sven is talking lately about, players that are overperforming, maybe undervalued, bringing youth in and these kind of things? Or are you guys more of the opinion, this can only bring you so far if you want to compete next season domestically and also in the Europa League? That won't fly. We cannot only rely on these, finding gems and stuff. We need experience as well, because Timber, Edson, and to a lesser extent Kudus are experienced players. They have been playing at Ajax for several years. What do you guys think of this, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, Kudus and Timber's massive for me. I'm not a great lover of Alvarez. I've said that privately to you guys many times. But I like him, but I'm not too fussed if he goes. But Kudus is a loss for me, and Timber's massive. But I feel we are being squeezed financially, and I think a lot of these players. I mean, I think Timber's gone. We'll talk about it later. But I think it's gone a bit too cheap as well. It's my opinion. But also look at the manager. Did we go for Stein because he was affordable and not that expensive compared to the names we were being linked with? I don't know what's been announced with his salary, but no one was happy with Stein. I'm willing to give him a chance, but he can't be on that much money, right? Compared to others that you can get from Europe. That could be the idea.
I would call it underwhelming. A little bit underwhelming.
Yeah.
For most of the fans, it was underwhelming to hear his name, firstly. Yeah.
But what I think Sven's trying to do, I think he's trying to copy a lot of the teams around Europe at the moment, trying to get the youth in, and that's why we've got the 2 new signings that are quite unknown to us, but also quite cheap as well. And I think he's going to try and build around the players that want to stay and try and get the confidence back, and then get the players like give Conceição more time, and get Hato in the back, a bit more experience. But that's what I think we're doing. I think we're going to have a year of just trying to rebuild again and see where we are. That's how I feel about it anyway.
And you would accept that, Gary? You would be fine with that?
For me, the minimum is to win the league. I think the team, if we can get the confidence right and these players can start well, I think we can compete again and win the league and take over Feyenoord again. But the Europa League, if we get through to the latter stages, we might struggle because of the experience if we lose those players. But I'm not saying I'm fine with it, but the season we've had and the players and manager we've lost and the highs we've had from 17 to 19, I think I've got to accept it, right?
Yeah, understood. Yadurenko, you were saying, okay, so direction is important, and we covered all this already, what would be a good transfer window. I think you guys pretty much answered the question. So apart from that, let's go a bit deeper to the squad. What are the critical positions for you that really need improvement compared to last season?
I'll give you some names. What I would like to do is go on every position quickly. First, say all the players that I would keep for the next season. Then the players I would let go or try to let go, or if there's a good enough offer. And then some names that I would send the scouts to look at those players to really get a sense if they would fit. But I think that gives a kind of direction. So in the goal, you have Roelie, Setford, De Graaf, Pasveer, and Gorter as a bunch of first selection players. On the right hand side, I've got nobody. On the center back, I currently have Hato and Kaplan. On the left back, I have Saladin. On central defender midfielder, I've got Vos and Tahirovic. On the central midfielder, I've got Kudus, Van den Bomen, Taylor, Mizoui, and Berghuis. On the right wing, I've got Gonçalves. On the center, I've not really got something. Maybe you could try Rasmussen and Boerhout, but I would definitely go for some kind of good striker.
I'm sorry. Just quickly, did you mention Klaassen or did you leave him out?
I'm getting there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
On the left wing, I've got Gods, Tadic, Kaloko, and Van Axel-Dongen. Then I've got a list of players that I would let go. Starting with right back is Rensch and Sanchez. I would either let Rensch go or position him in the center back. He originally was a center back and he broke through as a center back, and he always impressed me more as a center back as he did ever on the right back. For the center backs, I would let Bassi, Piri, and go, and I wouldn't go for Saint-Justin.
Yeah, we'll touch upon that later.
Yeah, sorry about mowing the grass away. For the left back, I would let go Wijndal. For the center defender midfielder, I would let Alvarez go. For the center midfielder, I would let Fitzjim and Klaassen go. For the right wing, I would let Darami and Bergwijn go. And for the center front, I would let Brobby go. And then I've got a range of players which are either interesting to buy for this season or for the future, to build for the future, because some players are really young and some players are not even maybe eligible to play in Europe yet. I'm not going to specify everything, but for the right back position, I've got names like Kevin Alvarez, Gonzalo Esteves, Agustin Diaye, who is linked to Feyenoord, I believe. Noah Sadiki from Anderlecht. For the centre back, I've got players like Alejandro Frances, Luka Vuskovic, which will be almost impossible, I think. Then you have Eduardo Alvarez, and you have Victor Guzman, and I would definitely go for someone like Yassine Özcan. And then you have got a free player, George Maya. I don't know if that's something, but
yeah, but hold on.
Good.
Yeah, Yudorenko, wait just a minute, just quickly.
Yeah.
So for the positions that you want to fill in with new players, let's call them new players, right?
Yep.
So apart from the players that you're mentioning from outside, which player from Young or the academy would you give a chance this season to fill in certain spots? If we go with your list of players that have to go.
For the centre back, not really. You could give Aartsen some time and some chance, but in my opinion, he's not there yet. And I think Hato will be amazing coming season, but you cannot build a team around Hato in the center back. So you really need a strong center back. And the ones I've mentioned are not that strong yet, but they more have a layer of future in them. And some of them maybe are a bit stronger. So if I can continue with the left back, I've got Valentin Bargo as an interesting option, who got, I believe, a 10 million euro clause. Juan Lopez, who is just signed last year on Southampton, but they relegated. So there might be a chance because they need to lose some equity, basically. For the center defender midfielder, I don't really have one. Yeah, I've got Ayoub Aydin maybe, but he's at Bayern, so it will all depend if he will break through or not. Center midfielders, I got Gino Infantino, I've got Miguel Monsalve, and I've of course got Kendry Pais. Right wing, Julian Fernandez and Gianluca Prestiani, which is really tough, I think. And for the center front, I've got a list like Cesar Minho, Marcos Leonardo, Chris Garden.
Yeah, can I ask you a question, right? All those players that you're mentioning,
yeah.
Let's say we go with the list of names, whether it's the first option or second option. Considering we're selling only 3 players, theoretically, only, Timber, Edson, and Kudus.
Yeah.
I already said that we cannot spend one-on-one what we sold. Would that be manageable? Would that be possible?
Yeah, most of these are quite young talents and are focused towards the future or to this season. And I think those could be smart buys. You always have to do it to find out if it's really smart. But it are not. For instance, Luka Vuskovic, I think that will be a no-go because that will be steep. That will be 40-50 million euros, I guess, because Real Madrid, all those big clubs are on that guy currently. Same goes for Kendry Pais. But the other ones, if you're early on, if you have a good story, if you have a good offer, you might get them. Okay, Marcos Leonardo, probably not. He's the same story as the other guys, and he is even higher clause, I believe. But still, those are the players I would look at,
right.
and the kind of players I would look at.
All right, clear. Clear. Go ahead.
And for one, I forgot my one name, and that's Moises Paniagua. He's 16 years old and he's Bolivian. He's a super talent, and I would like to pull or try for an Endrick kind of track, where I believe Real Madrid bought him 2 years or 1 year and a half in advance.
All right, clear. You thought about this. You really did your homework on this one, so thank you.
Yeah, I made a bit of a list because otherwise it's just rambling and throwing out names, and this way it's a bit more structured. It makes, I hope, a little bit more sense.
Yeah. So after this stream, you will type it. You will send it to Ajax so they can have a look at it.
No. I will post it in the comments, and Ajax can do whatever they want with it.
All right. Listen, before I go to you, Luke, just a moment. I want to go through the chats because we received quite some chats. So I will pick up a few of them. First of all, Nickname is very impressed with Yodorenko. You cleared a lot of the FM wage bill there. So that's good. Also, Lolsorkont is very impressed. You want to sell the whole squad. I agree with that. So he's also agreeing.
Big cleanup. I said it.
Steve is like Broby, probably one of the biggest Ajax talents right now. So
really,
yeah. I mean, people have opinions, right? Let me see. What else do we have? We have Siggy is saying Vos and Misui and Gots, those will be the only one getting minutes. Hato I already see as a first team player. So that's a good
I
point.
mentioned them.
I'm sorry?
I mentioned those.
Yeah, you did. I'm just reiterating what they're saying. Keith is saying, give Robbie more time. I was disappointed when we sold Sierhash. Some youngsters need more time than regular Ajax youth. So, yeah, that's one way of looking at Broby as well. Let me just go up a little bit because I think I missed something. So the Vagebond is saying right back Gooyer. What do you think of that, Joderenko?
Yeah, could be an option. You could definitely try him within the preparation towards the season. And for me, it's simple. You take a lot of youth players that you think, okay, it could be. Take them with them, let them experience the prep for the season, and if they stand out, just let them flow in and try against the smaller teams if that's applicable. And that's how you make them earn their spot or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I have two random questions from viewers, but let's go over them and then we'll come back to the subject that we're talking about. I will give one to you, Luke, and the other one to you, Gary. Let me start with Luke. The question is, good evening, lads. What's going on with Edson? I hear rumors of Borussia Dortmund going back and forth. Do you still expect him to leave this summer? What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, I fully expect him to leave. You don't make this like fuss about not going to Chelsea and then thinking you're going to leave the whole time to Dortmund, when I imagine that Sven's already got a plan in place for when he leaves. And obviously we need to sell to then reinvest the money in certain areas of the squad. So I think it's a matter of time before he goes. I think if anything, he might go a bit cheaper because obviously no one wants to pay 45 million. Well, Dortmund didn't, sorry. So even though I've seen things about West Ham, or people are putting his name at West Ham with the Declan Rice money. They can afford it, but because they've got the money, I feel like Sven will play hardball and want more. But I don't know if they'll want to pay it. But I fully expect him to leave still because you plan to have him out of the squad. You need to go with it and move on.
All right, clear. Thanks, Luke. Gary. What do you guys think of the footage from Stijn as a head coach so far from the first trainings footages we saw?
Yeah.
Maduro seems to be playing a big role during the outfield training. What's your...
Yeah, I watched it the other night. He's all over the place, isn't he? But that's what we want. A bit of fun get the guys going again. Because I just found there's been no fun when I've watched a lot of the training videos, and they just don't seem to be up for it. And listen, you guys will know more about Stijn from his time. I know him from Sparta the years before. I'm willing to give him a go, but he speaks well for me when he's interviewed. I like the staff around him; they're likable. But for me, I'm on the fence still about what's going to happen because we've got such a team that needs to be so much love needs to go back into this team again to get them to believe in winning again first and foremost. That's for me the key to this. I like the coaches. I think they're going to do well, but it's going to be about the start. And what we're like when we're quite impatient, right? So a few bad results, it could go south very, very quickly. But from what I'm seeing so far, it looks like they're having a laugh. There's some good pictures on the website, and I'm liking the videos. So I'm a little bit excited. I think it's pre-season. We all are. We're seeing the guys out again, but it's going to be a case of the next 5-6 weeks, massive, and really that first couple of games.
Yep, absolutely.
We can do.
Hopefully, also we can see some glimpses, because we're playing Den Bosch, I think, the first friendly this weekend. So the friendlies are coming as well. So we will see a little bit, like if we see some differences compared to last season, like what they're trying to instill. Although it's difficult because you never know, and the players might be tired. In the preseason they're doing much more fitness.
Yeah, early days.
But we'll see. It's exciting. It's always exciting to be in the summer and seeing the preseason and hopefully hoping for a better season as well. I got a question as well, just quickly. One question for you. If you could buy one realistic center back, who would you go for? This is difficult, man. Honestly, when I was doing the interviews for Mislintat, and I was doing research on the Stuttgart fan, I noticed that Mavropanos was always going with wherever Mislintat was going because he was at Arsenal, and then they bought him again at Stuttgart. And I've seen him a little bit at Arsenal, and he was pretty okay. He was pretty decent. I don't know if this is a realistic price we can pay for him. It's difficult, but I think he would be a nice couple with Hato because he has aerial ability, pretty decent on the ball, strong physically. So I think maybe I'll look into him, to be honest. Although, look, I'm not a scout, so I haven't looked at all the options. But he has been around for a couple of years. I think we need to look at that. If we buy another, like Yadarenko said, if we buy another young player, then you have two very young center backs. It could work. It's a risk.
I agree. You have to have a strong center back as well, because you cannot have all youngsters and all talents.
No.
Even if there are really great talents, maybe the best talents in the world, you cannot put those in the center, in the heart of your defense at once.
So Roy is saying he would go for Martin Vitic, or if you want to splash, Sutalo. So yeah, splashing is not an option according to the Dutch media. So we'll skip that last one. Thank you for all your comments, guys. Keep bringing them up. Guys, I wanted to ask another question to you, right? Because it's very easy to look back at the season, and like Gary said, the players should take responsibility as well. But if we go into next season, for which player, if you can name one player you expect to really bounce back, from last season in terms of form, individual performance, etc., who do you expect to really come stronger this season, and why? Gary, what do you think?
I've been thinking about it all day, and it's a really difficult one for me because, there wasn't a standout player last year. There's a couple of performances that I really liked, but in terms of who I'd like to do well, I really did like Wijndal at AZ. I know it's a contentious one with him, but I thought he'd done really well with them. I'd like to see him do well, and Wrench as well, because I think Wrench, particularly for me, if he doesn't do it this year, then he's got to go, in my opinion. You can't keep having those chances. But for me, Brobby, I saw glimpses the last 3 or 4 games. I was over there for the Utrecht game. He played really well, hold up play, but he's finishing. If he can get that right this summer, we could have a player. So for me, that's who I'm looking forward to seeing this year.
Okay. Luke, what about you?
Yeah, same as Gary. I've been thinking about this, and I was torn. I was gonna go with Taylor originally because I feel like he kind of looked worse because he had to be a bit deeper. They were trying to build up from the back too many players deeper. But when he was playing well season before, and even at the start of the season, he was always the edge of the box, 2-footed. But I have to agree with Gary. Bobby's my number one choice to bounce back from the end of the season. The hold-up play is so key. Most of the really nice football you see is when it goes to him in the box, he's pushing the defensive line so deep because they're on his back, and then he just lays it off to someone like Bergwijn who's coming inside. That's where most of Bergwijn's shots come from, even though he doesn't score half of them. But, most of the shots on target and most of the good attacks come from probably holding the ball in the box. And like Gary said, if he gets the finishing right, then absolutely he's gonna go flying. But I feel like with Brobby, what it was consistent game time, because Heidinger decided to play Tadic up front most of the time. Inconsistent game time, you're not going to be able to find your feet. You're not going to be able to get fitness. And when he was playing consistently, you saw the best of Brobby. So far, I felt end of the season, especially in that cup final, he didn't score, but the movement and the chances he was able to have was really, really good. Just the finishing lets him down. So if he can really work on that, and I'm sure he will, then I think he'll bounce back.
So basically, you guys have a couple of names, but you guys will go for Brobby, both of you, right?
Yeah.
It was going to be Wijndal for me because I really like him. I liked him a lot. I wanted him for ages. I'm sure we all did, right?
Yeah.
And we got him cheap as well, in my opinion. But I think.
Do you think we got Brobby for cheap?
No, Wijndal. Got him for 10 million euros,
sorry.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked. I wanted him for a couple of seasons. I really did, and I was nervous about Tagliafico going as well. So I really wanted him, but I just don't think that Schroeder liked him from day one. That's my opinion of Wijndal, and that's why he struggled.
But the thing
In
is,
terms
you
of his
know,
attitude, not as in how he's playing. But if you
yeah,
liked
but
him
the
as a
thing is,
person.
for me, a red flag. Look, one coach can say something about a player. If two coaches say something about the player which is similar, that's a red flag for me. Because it wasn't only Schroeder, also Heitinga raised a little bit his attitude or his focus in training, you know, his intensity level.
He made the comment about being the best player in the world, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he did pick it up towards the end, and he did play a little bit more, and we saw a little bit glimpses of the old Wijndal. But he needs to step up, you know. I think Jadarenko already mentioned it also. Jadarenko expects Salahadin to maybe take over on the left back position. So who knows? Yeah, we'll see. Jadarenko, what about you? Same question to you. Who would you expect to bounce back strong next season?
None.
No one?
No.
Okay, what about
The only thing I can say about a strong coming season is Hatau, but that's not bouncing back, is it?
What about it's a bit of a cheap shot, but what about Kaplan?
Bouncing back from what? From his injury? But he hasn't shown anything. He never disappointed us. So what's bouncing back? He's just not fit, and he was unhappy in that. And I think he could be a really, really, really good addition. But it's not bouncing back to me.
Okay.
Bouncing back would be Tadic, would be Brobby, would be Bergwijn, would be Wijndal. I don't think none of them will bounce back from the season they had.
Let me go a little bit, because we're basically going over the names very quickly, but I really want to touch upon Bergwijn for a minute, because it's our most expensive player, and apart from his price tag, guys, this guy has quality. I mean, for me personally, I'm still to this day, I'm very shocked at what he showed us last season, because in my opinion, he should be much better than what he's showing. Agreed. It's like he's underperforming. I cannot believe this is his normal level. So what happened to him? How come he cannot show us what he's been doing years before, or what everybody thinks he's capable of doing?
He's just not that good, I don't think. I think
you don't think
he's just not that good. I just don't think he's that good.
I totally agree.
You see the start of the season, you know, everyone was like, oh, he scored 5 goals, 5 games, or whatever he did. And at the time, it was really good. But the more you watch of him, you know, the way he moves off the ball, he doesn't offer anything in terms of any intelligence on the ball. No movement, you know, nothing that screams, oh, okay, he'll find spaces to receive the ball. The amount of times he'll get the ball out wide, and he could probably play a through ball or square it to somebody in the middle, and he'll just shoot. And that's it, and he goes straight to the keeper, and everyone's like, oh, you know, and he, you know, and his attitude off the ball, he'll just stand there sometimes. I've rarely see him work. There's so much.
He started really well in August. Remember the Shield? He started really well.
Yeah.
And he kept on coming on that left side and shooting to the top corner.
Hold on. You say he started well. I think he scored well, but his gameplay wasn't great from the start.
No.
For me, it never was, because he can run really fast, which can help if you're
very strong as well.
The defense. But there's not really much of something special else. He can shoot.
I think he's a lazy player. I think he's lazy. He doesn't contribute much to the team. But yeah, it's the pace. It's the pace that we need. But
it says a lot, doesn't it? Like, you know, Brobby hits the post in the Becker final, and the ball bounces back to where Bergwijn was. But he's turned around and started celebrating and things. You know what I mean? Surely, you know, you'd be switched on until that ball's in the back of the net, and then you celebrate. It's just something there for me. It's just not enough footballing intelligence.
Especially after a season like that, when you can win a prize, when you still have something to make of the season, you expect a knife between the teeth, as we call it in Dutch, and it's not there, in my opinion.
Yeah, not
lacking
for me.
The spark, right?
Yeah.
Just understanding, you know, he doesn't look like he understands his teammates. He doesn't look like he understands. The only time I ever see him play really good football at times is when the ball goes into Brobby. Brobby holds it in the box, and then it gets laid off, and he comes inside, and okay, he's got a couple of goals from there, and you know, that's really, really good at the time. But other than that, I whenever he's on the pitch, I don't feel confident. Well, especially last season, that anything's going to happen. When he started, when he was on the bench a couple of times and he come off the bench, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not going to see anything.
Yeah. What about what Heitinga tried at the end of the season to put him more as a 10 instead of on the left wing? Did that change your perspective a little bit, or still the same for you?
No, because it's just football intelligence in general. Like, it's even worse in the middle. You have to find more pockets of space to be effective in. Yeah. He got on the ball a lot more, and because he can run, he's good a runner, a good powerful runner on the ball. It looked a bit better, but he's got less space there than he does on the wing, and he didn't do anything on the wing really. He didn't come inside, hold the ball.
What do you mean he had less space? What do you mean he had less space? He has more space in the middle, right?
No. For me, obviously, you've got more players in the middle is what I meant. So when you're on the wing, there's less space to worry about is what I meant. So you can find more space and do better and make something with the ball in the space on the left wing. He didn't even sometimes come inside, wait for the overlap, Vinal or whoever, and play it wide. It was always get the ball, come inside and shoot. And after, when you're halfway through the season or almost at the end of the season, you're still seeing that. You're just like... Do you know what I mean? For me, he's just not intelligent enough on the ball, and he just doesn't have the finesse and the source as you would, playing with the ball. He didn't look tidy. He looked very clumsy at times,
All right. So Gary, everybody's agreeing with each other. Are you agreeing with them as well on
I think so. Yeah, listen, it's because he's a lot of money. I'm trying to believe that there's something in there. It's a lot of money for us, and he does score a good goal, but yeah, he's not enough. And also, if you think about when Gotts come on against Utrecht, he was so exciting, wasn't he, on the ball? For that, he came on that second half and he was unbelievable for that 20 minutes. And for me, Bergwijn just goes missing. But I still think there's something there. But also, what the coaches last year, did they do enough with him? Did the team believe in the coaches? It's not, like I told you earlier, it's about everything, the whole ingredients. I'm not saying he's going to go and be amazing this season. Far from it. However, were they coached good enough? Because Johnny's inexperienced. Look at what happened with the first manager. It all went completely upside down, and the confidence went completely. And now you never know. But for me, it's the investment we've made. It's so much money just to throw away. I think he's worth keeping and another shot, especially for the first few months of the season till January.
Is it? Do you guys think it's fair to judge a player only on one season?
If you pay 31 million and give him a salary of 4.5 million a year, yes.
You expect a return on it, or something.
Immediately.
You know what I mean? Well, you look at.
So you don't judge him. You don't judge him. Sorry, Luke. You don't judge him as a youth player or like a project. He has to be there from day one.
So sorry, a project?
No, that's what I'm saying. You
31 million for a project?
No, I'm saying he is not a youth player or a project because we paid so much money for him. So he has to be there from day one. He has to deliver.
That's why you make 100%. The choice.
Yeah.
That's why you make the choice to invest a lot of money, because you want return on investment. And if it doesn't happen,
when do you see people,
it's fine.
When you see people that young coming back, but when do you ever see players that young coming back from the Premier League to the Eredivisie as well? Not often. And he should be performing. He should be taking it by the scruff of the neck and being more hungrier. Whatever we say about coaches, he's just not. He hasn't performed. I think he thinks he's better than the league sometimes, maybe. He's better than the defenders that he's playing against, but he's not showing it.
Are you questioning his attitude a little bit as well?
Say again?
Are you questioning his attitude a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think he's got a lazy attitude. He wants
there are times,
happen himself, and he's got to work harder. Simple as that.
Well, the thing is, you look at players like Koshensel, right? Whenever he's on the pitch, whenever he comes on, he always wants to be eager to do something, always wants to get on the ball, wants to run at people, excited to play. And like Gotch come on, and Gotch look really, really good and excited to be on the ball. Bergwijn looks like he just sometimes just like a sport child, and he has his sweets taken away from him at times, just walking around, you know? Man. So I'm hoping he could prove me wrong, because you saw that he can score some good goals, and sometimes you get that really good direct winger. But if you look at Koshensel and you look at Bergwijn, where's the balance if they're both on the same team? Because one's really energetic and wants to beat the man and play 1-2s to get in the box, and Bergwijn just wants to play by himself, So it's hard. It's difficult, isn't it?
I totally agree. It's that difference. Koshensel tries every time and keeps trying.
Going back.
That's the least what you can expect from a player. if you invest a lot of money into it. That's it.
All right. Just going over the comments quickly before we move to the next subject. Big up to everyone that's watching the live stream right now and also showing and discussing with us what we're talking about. A lot of comments also on the Bergwijn. Let me go with Sahbi. Welcome, Sahbi. So basically, yeah, so we got screwed big time. I said this already last year. He did. I can actually confirm that he said that. You can't pay such an amount for
Ajax allowed it.
Sorry?
Ajax allowed it.
Yeah.
They went with it.
True. You can't pay such an amount for a player that hasn't played for over 1.5 years and not scoring goals. Clear. Also, Papimento in the chat. Papimento is saying, yeah, Bergwijn misses versatility in this game. That's key for a winger. Interesting point. Steve is saying, look, Bergwijn would be great in the counter team. 2 strikers and lots of space to run into. Also interesting. Nickname is saying, 30 million investment should show way more hunger. He seems spoiled, not really worried to lose his place in the team. Yeah, those are, yeah.
It's because he knows he's making good wage, isn't it?
And it's nothing new, I think. Yeah. I think it's nothing new. It's what we as fans can see. So the people who are involved should see that as well. In fact, they're getting paid loads of money to filter that out, and they just don't.
And this is the difficult thing, isn't it, though? Is like you bench Bergwijn, okay, cool, but what kind of message that send to everything else? That Ajax can't spend their money wisely, or that they spend this much money on one player and then he can't perform. It doesn't send good messages either. And then you don't bench him, and then the manager hasn't got, the balls to do it, or they can't, like the same thing with Tadic. When I hear all the time that Tadic should be benched, yeah, okay, you can have your opinions, but it's like, what happens then? You're captain. Do you know what I mean? So it's a massive difficult situation, but yeah, he should do so much better for a £30 million player.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Talking about the grass being mowed before me earlier by Yadorenko, just quickly on the links of Jeremiah and Just being a possible replacement to Jurriën Timber. What do you guys think of this name dropping that happened, I think, yesterday or the day before? Gary, let me go with you first.
Yeah, I've done some reading that we all have, and I mean, on paper, it's a position that we're going to be looking for, right? But I read somewhere, tell me in the comments, or 30% of the games he's been injured. So again, that doesn't sit right with me, and just the rumblings I'm getting from the other Ajax fans all over the internet that they just simply don't want him. And what's the rumored fee? 9 million euros as well, right? Is that roughly the figure I'm hearing?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Sporting bought him for 10.
Yeah.
And he's 26, and he has a contract until 2026, I think.
Still 2 years. They got him last year, and they want to get rid of him potentially already, right? So something there is a bit fishy as well, maybe. But yeah. I don't know enough about him from when he was at the Feyenoord and then went over to Germany as well. But you can see that's the position that we're lacking, because they're going to go with Hato, I think, this season. And we like Yadi said about about Kaplan as well. He's not done anything to bounce back. He's not been fit enough, so we don't really know what he's going to do other than pre-season, right? So for me, I think there's more time in the transfer window to look at other targets. Especially around the Premiership as well, where teams have either gone down. Look at teams like Southampton and Leeds. There could be some players there as well that are not going to cost a fortune. I don't think we should rush.
But you guys are much more knowledgeable on the UK, right? On the Premier League, Championship, these kind of things. Is it possible? Is it more like if Ajax comes for a Championship team and says we want a player, and that player is in a Championship team, would he go to Ajax?
I think so. I mean, the move's got to be right for the. I mean, I don't think you'll find many English players going there personally. But if you get a few Europeans or South Americans, 100%. Ajax is still a big draw. We've just dropped down that level to get that big player. That's the difference, because the money in the Prem and the money in Saudi Arabia at the moment, we've got to be realistic of who we're going to get, And that's what I said about Bergwijn a minute ago, that you don't just leave the Premiership and come back to Ajax so soon. That's really what retirement players do. in their late 20s or early 30s. But back to the St. Just, I don't think we should rush, and I think hopefully it's just paper talk. And I think we should see how we go in pre-season, see what we've got in the youth, and then start scouting for the next few weeks.
All right, clear. Look, paper talk, of course. If you look at his profile, right, take away injuries, all these kind of things, everything that Gary brought up, valid points. It's not very strange name, basically, if you look at the profile compared to Timber, because he's also somebody that can play multiple positions. Basically, all the positions also Timber can cover. He can cover them as well.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
You have a different opinion about this?
Yeah. I've obviously known of his name for a couple of years, but he's played a lot of his games I've watched has been in the Europa League, in Europe, and like he played against Arsenal recently as well. But I can see the talent ID behind it, the kind of profile. Very, very quick. Obviously the concern, like you said, if you take away the injuries, then the profile is fantastic. He can bring the ball out of play, wants to bring the ball up and play with the ball. He's also very good recovery pace, very, very quick, quite tall, I think, as well. So he can win his headers. I just feel like, it's a difficult thing to balance. Do you want to go for someone who's got a bit more about them that can actually lead some young defenders? Because I don't know what his leadership skills are like, and it's very specific, so I don't know enough about him to know if he likes to talk and if he's a vice captain or if he likes to lead from the back. But you can definitely see the profile of the player behind it, bringing the ball out of defense, just like Timber does now. So the right kind of player they're looking at, I think. I just think maybe there's a few more. He's not the only ball playing defender in the world that we can get. So I'm hoping that there's someone around. If he's got leadership skills, then fantastic. Then why not? If it's cheap, if it's under 12 million euros, I think you can justify it. But even then, that's really pushing the bat out because you want to get your best value for money. And if injuries are a big thing, if we talk about injuries, maybe paying 12 million euro for someone who can't really stay fit is like. It's a no-go, isn't it? So,
yeah, the best skill basically from every player is his availability.
Availability, right? Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Dorenko, you touched upon early this stream, like if I see a certain direction, of Ajax, I'll be happy. Would Jeremiah be somebody that fits that direction for you, or are you like, no, not him?
It would fit a direction, but
okay.
not the one I'm opting for.
Okay.
I think, he's fast, but he's bang on average in everything. There's nothing standing out for him. Even his aerial abilities. Look at the stats. It's not great. It's
Good
not.
point. Yeah.
So and then you have his injury proneness, and you have the fact that he's going to cost a lot of money. So he has to deliver right from the start. I don't believe in it. I just don't believe in it.
All right. Clear, guys. Clear. Thank you so much for this. One more thing I wanted to touch upon before we end the stream. And then, of course, I will go over the final comments as well after. Guys, just quickly on the interview from Ünüvar. We know he went to FC Twente for a loan. So last season it was Trabzonspor. Now it's FC Twente. A bit closer to home. Familiar with the Eredivisie a little bit, They had a quick interview with him, and the interview went about basically he's being asked, when you made your debut in the cup game against Spakenburg, he was 16 at the time, like he's the third youngest player to do so. He scored a goal as well. And he asked him, like, did you expect to be here at this time, like years later, to be at Twente? And he said basically, like, every player has different, path, basically, to mature and grow and become a full player in the first team. And he said, like, that's the way I see it. And then they went a bit further, and towards the end, it was more like, do you think you were not ready for Ajax? That was a very interesting question. And his response was, look, 2 seasons ago, I delivered. I made the numbers, look at my stats. That's all I want to say. Then, of course, it didn't end there. They asked him a little bit more, and then he said, like, yeah, I think I didn't get really the chance, maybe the opportunities I deserved at the time. So, of course, he was good at the interview. I'm just picking something very small right now towards the end. But I still want your opinion on, do you agree with him that he could have, should have had more chances at Ajax at the time that he was like crushing it at the Keukenkampioen-divisie in the Championship of Netherlands. So 2 seasons ago, because he played like almost all the games. He had 16 goals. He had 12 assists that season. Still Keukenkampioen-divisie. But the only times he got picked up to the first team were 2 games in the cup against amateur teams, and he didn't even make 60 minutes in total. So my question is, what is it? Is it more like that doesn't count? He still has to grow in certain areas before he becomes eligible for the first team? Or are you guys like more like, if you deliver those stats, honestly, you should get a bit more chances. Maybe it would have gone differently for him. Luke, what do you think?
The thing is why not give him the opportunity? How is a young player supposed to do anything in 60 minutes in 2 games? You know, if you're, it's like in England, you've got the Premier League and you've got the Championship. Usually the Premier League teams will loan their players to the Championship to get the experience rather than playing in the reserves, because obviously in the Netherlands, the young are playing in the 2nd division, so they're getting that experience within like the nitty-gritty, you know, combativeness of it. But in the under-21s in England, in their reserve team, it's not the same as being in the Championship. But if you're playing well in the Championship, you come back in pre-season ready for the opportunity because you've proven yourself in the Championship, or maybe you go on loan to a Premier League team. I don't understand how you don't give him an opportunity more than just 2 cup games for less than 60 minutes. I don't understand, especially, you know, considering the players that have left in the last couple of years, how, you know, it's obviously a big difference. Playing for Young and then playing for Ajax is huge. It's a huge difference, but you have to have that transition period. And I don't think he even got that. He got 2 games. Like you said, you know, if he played, you know, the last 30 minutes or last 25 minutes of games at the end in the Eredivisie, that's where you can build the experience to an extent until he's ready to start some games. And I fully agree with him. Like he should have got more chances. How are you supposed to bring to young players if, you know, you're not allowing them that transition period from Young, especially if you're getting 16 goals in the 2nd league in the Netherlands, by the way, you know, and then, you know, coming into Ajax, you're not getting the opportunities. Like, where's the reward for it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no incentive for a young player to look at that and think, oh, I really want to go to the Ajax first team now because I'm going to get loads of opportunities. It's not a good advertisement for, you know, not good advert for a young player, you know?
Look, there must be something that he still has to develop. And most of the fans are saying, look, it's not even his, you know, football. His football is fine. He's good. He's technical. You know, he has vision, clever, intelligent football player, etc. It's more the physical part. You know, being able to run up and down, physicality, duels, these kind of things. What's your view on that, Gary, when people say that for Ünüvar?
Yeah, I think with him, I think he was a victim of we had a good team, first team, when he was coming through. And Ten Hag was a very stubborn manager as well, don't forget. So remember how all frustrated we used to get, the late subs that he used to make. And, you know, and we had really good players in that particular team. And I think, yeah, I agree. He should have been given a lot more games. Mentality or not, strength or not. For me, that he was just a victim of the end of that era of Ten Hag when we were going for the double. We had Gravenberch there. Taylor was coming through. We had really good players that for me were just better than him, but we just didn't utilize him.
Yeah, but Gary, isn't it strange, and sorry to cut you off, isn't it strange then that then Schroeder comes in, they have a chance to continue with Ünüvar, but then it turns out he goes to Turkey.
He sends us to Turkey. Yeah, listen, we don't know the kid. He might have we don't know, he might have for his age, he might have a very strong personality that maybe the coaches don't like, you know, where he's got a lot of opinion. He might have a bad attitude. We don't know. I don't know, personally.
He doesn't.
But say again?
He doesn't.
Yeah, so for me, he should have been playing all the cup games, 100%. And when we're going to the lower teams in Holland and coming on for at least 45 minutes to 50 minutes in the second half, there's something there that wasn't right. But I think he's still a victim of when he broke through. We still had a really good team. We're doing well in Europe, doing well in the league, doing well in the cup. And I still thought Ten Hag was so much of a winner that he just wanted those trophies and focused on that squad. And he didn't bring a lot of youth in those years before he left for Manchester United. That's my opinion.
But that's the problem with it, isn't it? It's the problem with the whole thing that Yadarenko was talking about earlier, was the direction. The direction changed, and then the players stopped coming through. Okay, you have Taylor coming through and Bobby came in, but then because he was so focused on winning everything and trying to win and be competitive in the Champions League, unfortunately, you have to then buy these foreign players to add a different dynamic. But then naturally, other players are going to lose out because of the players like that have been brought in, right?
Look at last summer. Look how we bought all those players in a matter of weeks. We haven't done that for a long time, and the pressure to the new coach, the pressure of getting those players in that team quickly, I just think it was completely overshadowed, and that's why he was shipped off to Turkey. And again, this new system, I just don't believe the coaches know where we're going right now with these youth players, and that's why it's been shipped off to Twente. I really believe that. I don't think it's a bad player. I just don't think they've got any plans for him right now.
Look, at the end of the day, right? I'm seeing also in the comments, Twente alone is it's really a smart choice, smart move as well. So it's not like we're disappointed. Of course, we're disappointed he didn't show at Ajax, but this is also a good chance for him to develop further. He should have gone.
Sorry, he should have gone to loan in the Netherlands, not Turkey, in the last year. That's what he should have done.
Yeah. Some people were concerned about that last season already.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
you're right, Gary. Jadranko, also for you, the whole Ünüvar, how did you perceive? What were your thoughts on the interview that you saw from Ünüvar? And I also want to ask you at the same time, what do you think is his best position?
To me, I'm not going to really go in depth into the interview, but to his situation. First of all, he had some private issues over the years. There were some things in his private life that affected his performance for a while. But to me, it's the world upside down, because he was our own gem from 15 onwards. It was just waiting, when will he rock the Eredivisie? But he never really got a chance, never. And I think that's baffling. Even now, you're loaning him to Twente. What are you doing? It's either you want something with him, so give him a chance, or you're just gonna cut the cords and say goodbye, because he needs to develop, and he needs a place where he can stay, where he can develop, where he has structure, where he has the things in place. And going on a loan, trying at Ajax, going on a loan, that's not going to happen.
He should have done pre-season with us and then made the decision.
Yeah, and they're young players, so everything is new for them, and they're getting into adulthood, which is a big thing. Then you go abroad, live by yourself or at a family, whatever. It's all very much for such a young talent. So you have to give them that structure, and Ajax never did, in my opinion. And I think that's just forgetting your own philosophy, where you came from. Yeah, where you came from, and where all your success have been driven towards, are originated from.
Can I throw something maybe strange to you guys? Because I was thinking about him, and there's a reason I asked you about his ideal position. Because we know he can play from the left side. We know he can play as a 10. But I was thinking, right, can we not transform him into a type of Schöne?
No.
Why not? Why not?
Because, how should I explain it? Look at Frenkie de Jong. Frenkie de Jong, for me, is a typical 6, where all of his amazing quality come at play. If he goes a little bit farther up, he is in a slightly different phase of the gameplay. That can change everything. And there you don't have the ability where you get pressed in the back and you can turn around. You're getting the ball and you're in front of the goal. So it's a different gameplay. And that's the same with Ünüvar. He showed his skills. I'm not comparing him to Messi, but with his skills, it's a bit like Messi, because it's not pinpointed at one position. It's mostly on the left, but also getting into the center, giving passes, shooting at goal. So It's not
he's too attacking minded for you. He's too attacking minded for you to be a player at the back. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, his skills that he developed from small on were just prone at that, and that's where he excels. So why would you spend a lot of money in a player to excel at a different position? I think it's baffling. You obviously you can find some gems in a different position, but that's mostly luck. I don't think you need to search for that, because they're the best of the best in that position throughout their youth academy, wherever they played. So why would you try then something else? Especially in the top of Europe.
But isn't that what Ajax always has done also in the youth? Like attackers becoming defenders after a while, or going further deeper, playing deeper. And then we get players that are really good on the ball playing from the back because they used to be attackers. They're very technical, skillful, etc. So it's not a very stretch what I'm saying. The only thing I'm saying is, would he be a match there? But you don't agree, which is fine. I was just throwing it there. Luke, what do you think? Are you with Jadwiga on this?
Yeah. I don't think he could be. He's a bit more flamboyant player. I feel like, he wants to be on the ball and create things from higher up where he hasn't got to be relied on defensively so much. I feel like Schöne was like a once in a blue moon type of thing. It worked out, and if it didn't work out, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But it did, but I felt like Schöne had a bit more aggression on him, a bit more grit. Knew what he wanted to do for the team, and knew that he had to go and sacrifice some of his individuality for it at times for the team. And I feel like Ünüvar is more of like a flair player, But like I agree with Jadwiga when he said that you need to stabilize where you're at. You look at Martin Ødegaard, who went on loan after loan after loan, went to Real Madrid, tried, couldn't, went to Arsenal, and now look at him at Arsenal. He's in a stable environment where they're building something, and he's a key part of that, and he looks like he's enjoying himself at home, So, but can't play, not centre mid for me.
What the strange thing is to me is a couple of years in an interview Van der Sar said something like the big differentiator between top and European top and to become good and top is stability. But we haven't seen that within Ajax too much, in my opinion. If you state that to become number one in Europe, or at least at the top of Europe, that's your aim, and you say you need to give stability, and you don't do it, I think that's really strange.
But it's hard, Jadwiga. That stability is taken away from us every summer. We cannot cope with that. I mean, last summer was crazy. No club can endure that. No club.
Okay. Let me break this down. What brought us to all the success? The stability of falling back on youth, and only marginally filled it in with until 18-19. It wasn't filled in with quality players. Only Tadic and Blind really pulled the team up because it was a really good team, but it missed something smart, something you need on the top level. So everything was prone from where Ajax always was successful. And what did they do? They bought. And the last season even was, we got a solution. Ten Hag is gone. Overmars is gone. Let's spend 100 million on players.
No, I agree. And
stability.
This is the problem as well. Is you talk about stability, but you look at so for example, two right backs. You have Wrench and then you have Sanchez. Why does Sanchez need to be there? Where's another right back from Young that's ready for when Wrench, for example, makes that leave and he goes to a bigger club? The stability where this player has played in the Eredivisie. Okay, he's been a bench player, but he's had his cup games. He comes on for 30 minutes per game and he starts some games ready for that stability and knowing how Ajax want to play, when the next one can then come in and learn, and that's when the stability comes from. That I agree with Jadwiga, is that you have players ready for when the next one goes. Like, for example, the ready-made replacement for Timber. So we've known that, Timber's very young, obviously, but last year they had to keep him. He wanted to leave. Okay, so surely you'd be having the replacement in your head, other than Hato, where Ertesen or someone like that is surely getting ready, to be on the bench to get that experience. And that is where the stability for me comes from. And I agree with Vyacherenko. So, you should have ready-made players, not to come straight away, but ready to make that step up to become a starter when players leave eventually, So Voss, for example, Edson Alvarez is going. He was playing as a midfielder before you signed Tahirovic. Voss should have been already getting more. I know he started getting it at the end, but should have been already in that process throughout the season of getting it and getting the cup games and away from Young ready made for when he comes through.
The only thing is Heitinga was also trying to get the max out of the team. He didn't have the chance to do that because
chase it back.
It was just an example, but that's where the stability comes from for me, and I agree with Vyacherenko.
Yeah,
but we're also in a situation where it's now trendy to spend money, and we've never really done that. And I feel after last year's splash, there's this pressure from everyone that we have to buy, and we haven't got time to play the kids. But you've got to find the balance that you've both been saying. At the moment, the youth players that we've been spoilt with, really, the last 6-7 years, we haven't got that many. For me, anyway, I think we've got 2 or 3 that for me can get into this team and we can give them a go. But from previous seasons, we had 7 or 8. But again, at the moment, it does feel like it's trendy to spend money to be linked to this player, linked to that player. But you just got to be a bit patient and just find the right balance.
But this is where the opportunities come from.
Spending money is not wrong. We all know the rumors about Arda Güler, which to me was a bang on good direction. I was overly excited on that. So it's, in my opinion, that's not wrong. But if you've spent 24 million on Bassi, then Bassi really needs to show it right from the start. Otherwise, it's
a waste of money.
Gonna release all question marks.
And it's proven it, because a lot of the new players that we've got, we want to get rid of, right? So it's
exactly. What does Bassi show that Ertesen couldn't show if he was all given opportunity? And this is the same thing that we're saying about Ünüvar was saying that he doesn't get the opportunity, is because you sign. I love Kirschenschau, right? I think he's really, really good, and it was quite a smart sign at the time. But who said that Rasmussen couldn't come in and do a job like that, given the opportunity before he joined? I'm not saying they're the same type of player, but you never know. You might have got something out of Rasmussen that made you think we don't need to spend this money on Kirschenschau. We could invest it elsewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, the only thing with but you can say the same about Kirschenschau, but Rasmussen was a bit inconsistent. At times he was brilliant. At times he was you didn't see him. He was like, I don't know.
Sometimes magic, but mostly not.
I'm sorry?
Sometimes magic, but mostly not.
Yeah. All right, guys. We have to. We're going over the 1 hour. We're like 1 hour 20 minutes almost. I'll go to the final comments quickly. Just one question. You guys briefly can answer this one. It's from Ziggy. He's asking, do you guys reckon Ünüvar will be a starter at FC Twente? Which is a good point, because we're thinking he will. But we thought the same thing last year when he went to Trabzon.
Well, they were really good against us, don't forget, at the end of the season. And they were really good that day. But I think he will. I think he will eventually, after a few games, if he gets on his feet and gets a bit of confidence, I think he'll be starting by August, September. No problem.
Luke?
Yeah, I agree with Gary. I think it will take a little while for him to bed in, get to know his teammates and things. But I don't see why not. Especially it's a loan. It wouldn't hurt to try. You know what I mean? So, and if it doesn't work out, he's on loan. At least he can offer something at the end of the game until he's ready to start games.
Vyacherenko, for you as well, this question, and I have another question. You can take that one as well, but go ahead first with Ünüvar. You think he will be a starter?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. I think he can, but it all depends on what the coach is doing over there. If he is going to use him in a different way, he's going to have trouble, basically. So if he's going to put him on 6, then
you're laughing at me. Everybody's laughing at me. I'm just hosting, bro. That's it. Question from Soren. How many years do you think Ajax need to return back to the level 2022 and before? So the Ten Hag era, I think he's referring to. What do you think, Yodorenko?
3 to 4 years.
Gary?
Comes down to the right coach, giving him time, getting the right balance and confidence. Win the league first, get that confidence back. I would hope it will be this year, but I would say 2 or 3 years.
All right, Luke.
Yeah, you have to sort out everything upstairs, don't you? And it's going to take time to get all the deadwood you want out, the players you want to get out, and then sort yourself out with making sure young players are ready, getting the players you want. It needs a bit of time. I say 3 years, 3-4 years.
All right. So basically, minimum 2, maximum 4, if everything goes well, right? So if we don't get the same things that happened last year, hopefully.
But it largely depends if you're really gonna go for a clean sweep, or not a clean sweep, but
Clear out.
a blank sheet. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. A rebuild and also a clear direction. Coming back to the start of the video. All right. Last point, which is addressed to me. Steve is a little bit upset with me, I think. Juan, the midfield puzzle. I've been whining about this for 3 videos and still no mention. When are you going to address this? Steve, I'm sorry, man. I promise next week I will address it. Okay, so I know what you're referring to. I read it. There are a lot of midfielders, and you want basically us to tell or discuss what would be the ideal mix, what to do with Berghuis, what to do with Klaassen. Maybe Saladin can play as a 6. We didn't even touch upon that first. It's a good point. I promise we will address it next week, if that's okay with you.
Can I address it? Can I address it in 1 sentence?
Of course.
Begin with keeping Kudus and starting Vos.
Yeah, but Yodorenko, keeping Kudus is not an option. He wants to leave. And you know what they say in Dutch. You don't want to shoot yourself.
How did that happen?
You know what they say in Dutch.
How did that happen? How did that happen?
I don't know. We don't know. Steve, I made Steve is happy today. Look, he's happy now. All right. So thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Gary, was it okay? First time?
Yeah, I loved it. It's great.
Awesome.
Long time coming, man. Long time coming. But thanks for having me and bringing me in. I appreciate it.
Okay, so you guys will be seeing Gary more often, Yodorenko more often, and Luke, of course, more often. Guys, thank you so much. Everybody that joined the stream, thank you so much for your inputs and your comments and your questions. We'll be back next week again, discussing the midfield puzzle, of course, Steve. And also, we will discuss the Den Bosch, maybe the friendly, if something was interesting to talk about. And maybe we have some more transfer news as well. For now, have a nice evening, guys, and enjoy. Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.